Hey guys, enjoying a beautiful day out here on the farm in Kentucky. The Lord has blessed us for sure. We had a little rough weather when we got back from a long client trip here this past couple weeks, and then the clouds parted ways, and we're out here taking full advantage of it. I've got a bunch of stuff going on inside the lodge, bunch of wiring to do. We got the inside all framed up. Things are coming along pretty good in there. Today we're out on the farm, starting the food plot conversation, if you will, looking at a couple of things, and I wanted to bring this to you. As you know, I'm not one to promote this the food plot talk, if you will, soon in the year or early in the year, because I think it's I try to keep a lot of the videos kind of in a pecking order, if you will, so we can all stay kind of in them phases, if you will, and not get ahead of ourselves, right? Like we always say, not putting that cart before the horse. But now we're creeping up on what to do with summer food, where to put those locations. Maybe you're not planning yet, but maybe you're planning on where to put those. You're designing that, whether it's ones that I've been blessed enough to come out and help you with and strategize with and put those in those locations. You guys are then going in and removing timbers, grinding stumps down, whatever the case is. Or if there's spots on your own personal farm around the country that you are you're putting these in on your own designs, learning from the channel, not only mine but other good channels that are out there with some information, and putting this stuff into play. And either one of those guys, I really I applaud you for your efforts, because there's a lot of things that we can do as landowners, right? Private landowners, but none of it comes easy, and there's a lot of work involved in that. So kudos to you guys for trying to make the habitat correct. Just always remember, just because it's a God-given opening doesn't mean that's where the food plot needs to be. One of the biggest fails, I think, in food plotting, just going in and, yep, this is open, it's easy. Easy is not always right when it comes to food plotting, guys. Just remember that. So kind of off topic there, but very important. So what we're going to talk about today, guys, is we're going to look behind us here first, and you can see the ground that I've got to deal with here in Kentucky. Now we're on one of the food plots here. You can see the spruce, little spruce out behind me that I've got planted here. This area works really well, because that side of the ridge obviously is where my access is, interior of the farm, when I do have to access interior for some rut stands. And this side obviously is the plot. So screening, one of the big things as far as food plotting is screening. Don't plant them where you can't get around them, right? Unless it's in a corner where there's no foot travel through that corner of that section. Always keep that in mind. This here, any natural screening you can use to your advantage, do so. You can see this plot behind me is a work in progress, obviously. We didn't close on the property here last year until late July. So what I had is, I went in, and I'm going to show you here. I went in and I had a bunch of old hay fields. I'll show you. Well, you can kind of see where the broom sedge is up here. A lot of it looked like that. A lot of it looked like this native grass you can see right behind me on the outside. A lot of it now, over the last fall, being out of hay production, if you will, for a couple of years, kind of went, started to get a little stemmy, little brushy, right? But what I did here, guys, is I didn't have the product to work with, because I wasn't able to plant it last year what we're going to be able to do this year, right? So I didn't have that good biomass, that good summer release from green cover seeds, the buckwheat, the sorghum, the sun hemp, the sunflowers, all that mix that's in there, little burst seam clover, all that in there. I didn't have the opportunity to plant that in April last year, right? So that's what I had. I had that cover crop as far as that old hay. So I did my research on that, and my experiences from before, and what I elected to do. I came in and I actually seeded my fall blends in August. I come in and planted my blends right into that. Some of them I waited until August to do that. The other ones I tried to do is I tried to get a little buckwheat to take hold, just to help the soil. So I actually came in like the middle of July and planted some buckwheat, and that thatch was just too much. But instead of mowing it, I laid it down, came back into what I had done in July, and then everything got crimped again. the moral of the story is this, guys: I didn't mow it, you know, and that's where a lot of folks, I think, fail, and especially in this ground like we've got here in Kentucky, is you go in and you just burn everything off from those as far as mowing, not, you know, not burning, but you know, some folks do that as well. But you know, they come in here and they just smoke it, if you will, with a mower, and your biomass, and you better be able to plant something on that quick and fast, because if you don't, you've taken all the security, all the erosion control off from it at that point. And if you get hit with a hard rain before you get something to take foot on there, I've seen some nasty washouts on some food. And especially when we're in something like this here, as far as ridge country, you have to get something on that. When you burn that off, as far as with a mower, cut that real short, what you're doing is you're asking for weeds to take over. So before you do that this year, study what you have to work with first, as far as a standing crop like I had in the hay. So we came down in August, and we still had a lot of that, you know, that hay still standing in these plot areas. So what I did is I took the seed, fertilized it first, obviously, and then I went in and took the seed and broadcast that seed right into that standing hay. And I took that crimper of ours and I crimped everything down. So I was rolling it and crimping it all at the same time. And you'd be shocked. So this area behind me, guys, has not been sprayed, and I'm going to show you something that I did do, not initially, but down the road as far as mowing. So I did that. I planted the seed into it, you know, put that biomass that I had on top of it to give it some, you know, to give it some cover and some moisture control, and kind of treating it as you would, you know, a product that was planted ahead, like we will be doing this year as far as that summer release. Use that as a thatch layer and crimped it down over top. It worked great. Plots never dried out all year, guys. We went through a drought in like 28 days, I think it was, at one time last year, and when I pulled that thatch back, I still had worms down in there, you know. So very, very good turnout. I was very happy with it, but obviously it's only going to get better when I got better product to use, as far as like you know, a real cover crop, and not just, you know, leftover hayfield. I'm going to show you something here. This is the stuff we've got to work with. So obviously we are not tilling, we are putting everything above it. And if I can grow stuff like this down here in these plots, guys, and I picked these up just up here before we started this video, if we can put bulbs like this in the ground, and you can see the bottom of these guys, is you can see the root mass, and the J hooks aren't, you know, they're still there, but they're not, you know, really, really bad as what I'm sure they would be if we would have went in and really smoked it down. You know, we're already starting, you know, half of these, you can see these bulbs, guys. I'll put this one down here and show you that one. The top of these bulbs from about halfway were out of the ground. So these are just a few that were left, you know, but you can see the greens and everything, all the forage on top, and not only the bulb in the bottom. So the Ecotil radish obviously is a lot longer than this, goes down and busts that, you know, soil apart. But what the moral of the story here, guys, is this: is if I can grow bulbs like this with no spraying yet, and also just old hayfield, anybody that's tuning into this in better soil can do the same. But what I really feel is it all stemmed back to not going in and not burning, or burning. I guess you could have burned and it would have been the same thing, right? Taking it all off there. Burning may have been a little bit more beneficial, because it would have added the ash on there. That's real healthy for the soil. But not going in and taking that mower and mowing it right down to little or nothing, and then not having anything on there to work with, and just hoping and praying that it didn't get too hot and dry it out. I really believe the saving grace on the plots last year, guys, that turned bulbs like this out, were the simple fact is I used that hay. I stopped, used my head, did not get rid of all that thatch layer that I could use, and it went right into production. You can see as we're talking, worms crawling out of the bottom of it here. We've already got a great start, and we are going to add to this, and we're not going to kill this, because we are going to continue to add on the top of this soil and not go in and you know, and damage all this with a disc or a plow. I think you'll find success just kind of, you know, stepping back a little bit, using the products that you have. And you know, I'm not against chemicals, but the less chemicals you have to use, the better. So we'll keep you updated. I might use some chemical on it this year, but a bunch of this is test plots, guys. We're going to see how we can make this with the products that the average Joe around the country have, just like you and I. Thanks.